the Hidden Wealth Tutorial Series. Keep more, live well, leave more. Simply, safely, and effectively. How to mine your hidden wealth. The way we do business with the banking and financial industry creates systematic costs. They are wealth transfers. That is, the transfer of our money and all of its future growth, its wealth potential, to government, banks, and other financial institutions. Over time, the constant drainage grows and compounds into a lost fortune of its own. And we call it hidden wealth. Why? Once we know how, why, and where our wealth transfers happen, we can begin to reverse them. We can recoup them to grow and compound personal wealth. We'll show you how to do it and what a wealth difference it makes. Let's begin with this question. I see growth in my savings and investment statements. So what are these wealth transfers you're talking about? We all own and run our own business. We call it our personal economy. Regardless of whether or not we track the details, we have two sides to our financial ledger: costs and losses on the left side, gains on the right side, resulting in the net profit or loss in our business, our personal economy. It is the only true measure of determining our best financial decisions. Conventional businesses cannot survive without cost analysis guiding their decisions. It's like working in the dark, yet without the needed information at hand. That's what we commonly do in our own personal economy. So, let's define and identify our wealth transfers and quantify the value of reversing them so you can see for yourself. Wealth transfers include legally avoidable taxes, interest paid, interest lost, not earned when it could be earned, fees, interrupted compounding, and certain insurance costs. Now, wealth transfers have two parts: the dollars we transfer plus the wealth changing part, the opportunity cost, all the lost future growth on those dollars. It's like having a shadow account, growing and compounding negatively that offsets what our savings and investments grow for us positively. Now, why is it a shadow account? Because of what could be. That money can be recouped to grow and compound personal wealth by using the infinite banking concept, what we simply call legacy banking. Let's illustrate this with the cash flow graphic. Our income flows into our personal economy. On average, about 5 to 10% of it goes to savings, IRA, 401k, and other investments. Creating savings and investment account returns. On average, 10, 15, 20% or more goes to major expenses, financed by paying cash or by using bank loans for cars, vacations, business expenses, home furnishings, home repair and improvements, deductibles, education, term life insurance, and more. Creating opportunity costs. That is, the compounding lost future growth on the ever-growing cash outlays, interest paid, principal paid, and fees paid. The financial industry directs our attention to one side of the ledger, to the gross average rate of return here. While a business-based profit and loss analysis is based on the composite results of everything we do financially, which must include this: the net return after taxes, fees, and down-year losses are accounted for. And this, the economic costs of all my financial actions. 8% to 10% is the national average percentage of income for each car loan. All combined, cash flow to major expenses is at least 2 to 5 times the cash flow to savings and investments, making the opportunity costs exceed the savings and investing gains. That means there is greater wealth potential here than here. How can that be? By creating and using a legacy bank. I can recoup my opportunity costs. the growth I lose by paying cash, the interest I would pay to banks, the lost growth on the interest I would pay to banks, the lost growth on the principal I would pay to banks, and other financial costs become growing wealth. Instead of the financial costs on one side of my ledger offsetting the financial gains on the other side, I can balance my cash flow to have two wealth generators. Let's dig deeper into the how and the why, and what's at stake. Let's start by reviewing our available financing options and define the related costs that create our hidden wealth. First, we will always have these two sides to our ledger. We are lifelong consumers with the ever-present wants and needs to fulfill. They may change and evolve, but they never go away. And second, we finance everything we buy with bank financing or with cash. The cost of bank financing is the interest paid, the lost future growth on the interest paid, plus the lost future growth on the principal paid. The cost of paying cash begins with the opportunity cost of storing money in non-productive taxable accounts. Then, when spent, there is the lost future growth that could be earned on the cash paid from day one on into the future. Standard bank and credit union loans are amortized. Amortization loads interest up front. This determines the actual cost of the loan, which is found in the amortization schedule. The longer the loan period, the lower the loan payment, but the greater the loan costs. The actual loan cost is 2 to 10 times the interest rate, depending on the length of the loan period. Combined, these costs are a major, lifelong financial drainage that accumulates into a lost fortune, our hidden wealth, offsetting what our savings and investing may achieve. Recouping those costs to grow and compound for us converts our hidden wealth into real wealth. Infinite banking concepts, legacy banking, is the only known way to do that. Now, we'll look at what's at stake with the standard available options to finance our lives. Let's break down a standard amortization schedule from Bankrate.com for a $25,000 bank or credit union simple interest car loan for 5 years at 6.5% interest. Now, the payment is $489.15 monthly, adding up to $5,870 payable per year. At the time of this writing, the prime car loan rate for the top credit score is 6.9% new and 10.4% used. To avoid overstatement, we are using a 6.5% rate. Here are the 5-year results. The total payments made, $29,349. Total interest paid, $4,349. And percentage of interest in the payments made, 14.8%. The actual cost of a stated 6.5% 5-year loan averages 14.8% per year, plus the opportunity cost, the ongoing lost growth on all the principal and interest that is paid. That's about 3 times what I can net from a 10% investment return, after taxes, fees, and down-year costs are accounted for. Now, this leaves me badly upside down. Well, recouping 14.8% per year is the same as earning it, with no tax, fees, or down years. If legacy banking is used, the principal and interest payments are recouped and earn interest and dividends. The growth recoups my opportunity costs. In 30 years, at 4.5%, my $25,000 of principal plus $68,078 of interest and dividends for a total of $93,078 would be in my cash value for retirement income to help cover long-term care costs if needed, or to leave as a legacy. Plus, since legacy banking loans are not amortized, they are paid off faster. Now, with this loan, $1,395 in payments is saved. Now, put that into cash value, and the 30-year value increases to $97,270 for one car. At the time of this writing, the average balance carried on credit cards is about $6,500. The average interest rate being charged is 22%. Here's the average yearly cost. The balance, $6,500. Interest paid per year, $1,430. Plus the opportunity cost, all the ongoing lost growth on the principal and interest paid. That's about 4 times what I can net from a 10% investment return, after taxes, fees, and down year costs are accounted for. While recouping interest is the same as earning it, with no tax, fees, or down years. If legacy banking is used, by making the same payments the credit card companies require, the principal and interest payments are recouped into my cash value, and they earn interest and dividends. Now, this recoups my opportunity costs. In 30 years, at a net of 4.5%, recouping the interest paid would put another $87,240 in my cash value. That's for one use of my legacy bank to recoup the interest I would have to pay on this card balance. But real life doesn't work that way. I have future needs to fulfill. I can keep reusing my legacy bank to avoid the ongoing costs of financing my life. Avoiding them is the same as earning them. Banks promote home equity loans to encourage higher spending with lower payments by stretching out the loan period. Now, these loans are offered for 10 or 15-year periods. At the time of this writing, the prime rate for these loans ranges from 7.36% to 8.21%. To avoid overstatement, we are using a 7% rate. Here are the numbers from Bankrate.com for a $25,000 bank or credit union home equity loan. With the 10-year loan period, the payment is $290.27. Total of payments, $34,833. Total interest paid, $9,833. And percentage of interest in the payments made is 28.2%. With the 15-year loan period, the payment is $224.71. Total of payments made, $40,447. Total interest paid, $15,447, and the percentage of interest in the payments made, 38.2%. The actual cost of a standard 7% 10-year home equity loan is 28.2% per year. For a 15-year loan, it's 38.2% per year. Plus, the opportunity cost, the lost future growth on all of the principal and interest that is paid. Amortization loads loan interest up front. Paying it off early saves future interest, but not the higher early interest. Pay it off in 5 years, for example, and the total interest percent paid is 40% per year on the 10-year loan and 57% on the 15-year loan. Student loans have the same amortization periods, so they have the same cost structure. These costs are about 6 times what I can net from a 10% investment return, after taxes, fees, and down-year costs are accounted for, while recouping those costs is the same as earning it, with no taxes, fees, or down years. If legacy banking is used, the principal and interest payments are recouped. They go back into my cash value and earn interest and dividends, and that growth recoups my opportunity costs. Now, what I would pay for them goes into my own account instead. It will be there for me to provide retirement income, to help cover long-term care costs if needed, or to leave as a legacy. Plus, the loans are paid off sooner. Now, by making the same payments, I save $3,309 on the 10-year loan and $5,394 on the 15-year loan. This saved money may be added to cash value or invested elsewhere to increase my future retirement income and legacy. Another common financing method is mortgage refinancing, so we examine that as well. This is a standard amortization schedule from Bankrate.com for a $300,000 home refi at 6% for 30 years. Now, the principal and interest payment is $1,798.65 monthly, adding up to $21,584 per year. At the time of this writing, the prime 30-year home loan rate for the top credit score is 6.45%. Now, to avoid overstatement, we are using a rate of 6%. Now, here's the cost breakdown for the first 5 years. In year 1, the payment total is $21,584 per year. The year interest paid is $17,900, making the percentage of interest payment made equal to 82.9%. In year 2, it equals 81.9%. Year 3, it equals 80.7%. Year 4, it equals 79.5%. And year 5, it equals 78.3%. Over the first 5 years, the actual cost of a stated 6% home loan averages 80.6% per year. Refinancing fees range from 2% to 6%. At a median, 4%. That's $12,000 added to the loan at 80% interest cost. The typical mortgage holder refinances about every 4 to 5 years. Refinancing to stretch out the costs of major expenses and keep money flowing into savings and investments comes at a cost that is 10 to 15 times greater than what I can net on a 10% market return after taxes, fees, and down-year costs are accounted for. Each refinancing adds years to the mortgage period, putting increasing pressure on retirement income planning. There is increasing reliance on high stock market performance, risk, to enable retirement with a mortgage balance. Conversely, establishing and using legacy banking will help avoid future refinancing costs, as it continuously recoups financing costs to recycle and reuse again and again. It can enable a reverse mortgage to eliminate a mortgage payment or to provide tax-free income by leveraging the fully guaranteed death benefit that comes with My Legacy Bank to pay off the balance when death occurs. Now, you can get tax-free living benefits from the cash value and the death benefit at the same time. Think about the rate of return on that. No investment product can do this. It requires a process. That process is Infinite Banking Concepts Legacy Banking. A cash flow analysis will reveal the full scope of the wealth potential that exists right now in your cash flow. Our message is simple. To work effectively, our financial structure must be in harmony with our lives. It must work with instead of against the ever-present wants and needs that need to be fulfilled. That is what legacy banking does. Otherwise, no matter where we choose to invest, without a legacy bank in place, the laws of economics dictate that we will always have a shadow account, an ever-growing lost fortune that offsets whatever our savings and investments may gain. In closing, the financial industry does not educate us in personal financial economics. They point to loan rates and monthly payments, not to loan costs. They point to gross rates of return, not to the net after taxes, fees, and down years are accounted for. They ignore the opportunity costs they create. All combined, this turns our financial results upside down. Yes, we'll have money, but the gains we see are stolen out the back door by the costs we don't see or account for. The funny thing is, banks themselves are legacy bankers. Banks own over $203 billion worth of dividend-paying whole-life cash value, are adding more regularly, and use legacy banking. They probably used it for your last loan. R. Nelson Nash, the founder of the Infinite Banking Concept, said that personalized banking is simply a lesson in logic and reason. So, we close this out with a bit of that for your consideration. Saving 10% of our income means we spend 90%. Now, what we spend in bank and cash financing is a multiple of what we save and invest. Now, that makes our lost growth and opportunity costs a multiple of our net savings and investing gains. That means there is no way that savings and investing gains can equal the growth of our opportunity costs. And that tells us that recouping our opportunity cost must be done first, so that our savings and investing can give us the true growth we need. Without a known way to recoup them, we would chalk our financial cost up as the cost of doing business, with little analysis beyond the affordability of the monthly payments. Opportunity cost, while ever present as gravity, was never considered. But Nelson Nash's discovery of the personalized banking potential that has existed within dividend-paying whole life insurance since the day it was created over 200 years ago has changed all that. Now, recouping our cost is a choice, and it's the only known way to do it. You can stick with the status quo or find out what it can do for you personally, and then make your decision. What do you think? Would you like to learn more? Please feel free to browse the Hidden Wealth Tutorial Series videos, and don't hesitate to contact us with your questions. A free cash flow analysis will show you how it would work for you, personally, before you make any decisions. No more working in the dark. No more depending on the goodwill of the banking financial establishment. And no more creating avoidable wealth transfers. Drop us a comment or question at info@mymoneyflow.com. Thank you.